Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Life Conversations with a Twist. I say this every week, and I say the same thing every week. I love interviewing women who are doing really cool things in the world. And Delisa reached out to me and was like, I want to be on your podcast. I'm like, yes. So we actually just met 12 minutes ago. And we're already making connections, and we are going to take over the world. But you have such a unique background and experience and life journey, and I cannot wait to dive in. So tell us a little bit about currently, like who you are, what you do, a little bit, maybe I know you have a daughter, kind of like what your life is like right now.
Well, thank you so much, Heather, for inviting me on your podcast. I appreciate it. And for everyone listening, thank you for being here and welcome. Stay tuned. You're going to walk away with some value and benefits to implement in your life right away. So there's that. My name is Delisa Abraham, as Heather says. And yes, you know what? I have a vast amount of experience. I was in the military for almost 14 years of my life. I was in a leadership role. I had to learn how to follow. I taught leadership. I went on tours. And you're working with all kinds of people when you're there. And especially as a young woman, it's challenging in any male dominated space. It doesn't have to be in the military, it could be in any male dominated space. So I also had to learn who I was at the time and really step into my ownership of who I am as a person, as a woman. So there's that. I've also worked in corporate for a few years. Actually, before I had my daughter, I was in this amazing job that I loved. And I was working for CEOs and senior VPs as the executive administrator for their teams. And it was so fun because I was also the lead administrator for my department where I was. But it was so great. I learned so much and I didn't want to leave that job. But then, life happened. I got a baby and I was like, I don't really want her to, I don't want her to go to daycare. I don't want someone else raising her at that time. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It was just that I wanted her to be able to either walk or talk properly before I said, here you go, take her. I went back to work. And after the first year, I was like, nope, time to resign. And from that, I dedicated time. Of course, there's a sacrifice. Sometimes we make these things and we think, oh, everything is great and you must have money and you're doing all of these things. Yes, there was some money that I had, but of course, things were on a real budget. Let me tell you. And so, because I'm a single parent, and so I really dedicated my time to that. And when my daughter Faith was 3 years old, she wanted to. My mom had cancer when she was 2, and when she was 3, after my mom recovered, Faith saw herself as a superhero doctor. She thought that her prayers healed my mom. She thought her hugs and all of these things healed my mom. And so, which, yeah, yes, yes, I'm like, good for you, girl. Yes. And so she said to me one night, in the middle of the night, like a week or two or something like that, after her third birthday, that she was a superhero doctor. And like 12 o'clock in the night, I want to sleep, like most of us, right? I was tired. Talking about you're a superhero doctor. Okay, good for you. But she was like, you're not listening to me. So, of course, she threw back what I would say to her, which is you need to listen. So I had to get up. Okay, I'm listening. I'm listening. And she wanted it to be a real book. She wanted to share with children around the world, like, um, they are superheroes and they just have to be kind. They just have to use their heart. And that turned into her wanting to write it down. And of course, I was a scribe. She's telling me all of these things. And so the book came about because she wanted it to be a real book. 3 years old. Like, how do you know you want it to be a real book? She wanted to be a real book.
Like I
And
have
I
a 3-year-old and I can't even imagine him even saying, I mean, he's pretty smart, but like for him to say something like that, I mean, that's so cool.
She was like, I want to be a real book. And I was like, okay, cool, no problem. And it's so great because when you guys go to the website, in some of the interviews that she had, like on national TV, international TV, and you hear her talking about, like, she's sharing that, right? Or I'm sharing the piece of the story. And you would see video clips of like that day in my mom's house on her dining room table where I'm like, writing, and she's saying, I want this color. This is what superheroes do. And at the time, Sparkle, who are pup, she passed, she's there barking, giving her insights because everybody has a voice these days. Everyone knows what they want. Um, and so that's how Faith and Sparkles World started. Now I went from military, corporate, um,
Author.
resigned, right? And then I was still doing work outside, hosting some workshops, but I was doing it sometimes. I was doing it more like as a side business
Mhm.
because I was so much more focused on faith. And so I was doing it like that and of course getting income for it. I'm working with nonprofits, hosting workshops and speaking engagements. Then all of a sudden, Faith and Sparkles World came about because now it's a real business. And I wasn't even expecting myself to be a part of it. I was just like, okay, let's get these books out there. We're going to sell 100 copies and then we're good. Life is good. 5 years later, I
How,
am, yeah.
how many different books are there?
There's a lot of other books that still needs to come out, but two published books. The two
Okay.
published books, Superhero Faith and Doctor Faith. And these books have won several awards. She just won book, Best Children's Book Company with Lux Life magazine. They got Best Children's ebook in the best gift category with Lux Life magazine like last year. She's won several awards. She was in Success magazine as Women of Influence, their top 50 women of influence. She just got on International Day of the Girl, the one to watch. She just got that award.
And how old is
Um,
she
she
now?
just turned 7. She's now 7, yeah.
Wow.
Earlier this year, she was a finalist for, wait, hold on. Oh, Community Impact Award. I had to turn to see which award it was because of the volunteer work that she does, working with children, with the Children's Aid, and like sharing her books with them, sharing her books because they're in some resource rooms and some hospitals across North America. Um, with Autism Speaks, she did several speaking engagements at their walk and raise funds for them. With Cancer Society, bringing awareness because, of course, her grandmother had cancer. She used to sell lemonade every summer to do that. So all of these little things and working with seniors. So it started off as there was a tragedy that happened.
Hmm.
She saw herself after her third birthday as a superhero doctor, probably before that,
Hmm.
but it came out in the middle of the night to me. And then
Well, that's
that's
when the
when I
best
realized.
ideas happen, right?
That's what, and every time since then, it's always around a midnight. It's always between 11 and 1. There's something, a conversation. She's like, I gotta do this. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know, let's take it one step at a time. But yeah,
She's gonna run the world someday. We all know this, right?
well,
She's already 7 and doing like
she's already.
amazing things.
Yes, yes. And so it's been really great. And then on my part, what I do, I work with like mompreneurs, and of course with in corporate, working on business development and leadership, specifically with team development, communications, because of one, my experience, and of course my academics to back up what I do, but mostly because of my experience, because you have to be able to implement it and make sure that it works. So that's very long into what I'm
I have
doing.
so many questions.
Good. Let's ask the questions, and I'll try to keep it
And
short.
you live in Toronto, Canada,
Yes, I
just for
do.
a
Yes, yes,
reference too.
yes.
Um, and you forgot to even mention that you're a board advisor for a nonprofit.
Yes, yes, I am a board
I have a
advisor.
list of all the things that she does.
Yes, I am, and I host podcasts and I go lives, and yeah, I do a lot of stuff.
I love it. Do you think, okay, I want to go back to you being
Yes,
in the service because I mean, that alone, just being a woman and a woman of color to
yes,
like be in a position like that, was that something like you just like grew up and was like, this is what I want to do? Or
no.
like, how did you even get there?
So I was not like my daughter at all. My daughter, she was like, one day, I know what I'm gonna do. When she was 5, she was like, Mom, I'm supposed to be on stage and I need to talk. And that's how she became a speaker. Like she just knew. Me, I just wanted to go to university.
Mhm.
And I got into the university I wanted to go into, but then now you need money to pay for university
Yep.
because it costs. And my mom said to me, no, like you, well, yes, go to school, I'm happy, but don't take government funding for it, like work
Mhm.
for it. Because then she's like, it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. I'm here to help you. But at the same time, in the long run, you won't have a like large debt. So good advice,
Yeah.
lots of work. So from that, that's why I joined the military. And I actually called the military by accident. I was actually trying to call every summer there was need camp counselors. Like the city always has like counselors
Mm-hmm.
and the teenagers can do that. So I was trying to call at that time, like the Parks and Recreation department to get them. And I got uh, the base, the military base in my area. And I didn't know what it was. I wasn't thinking military. I did not see myself in the military. And that's what had happened. And then, like a year later, after I was doing research, I called a lot of times. I annoyed people because I was asking questions. I thought to myself, well, I'm only going to be there for a summer. I just need, a few $1,000s. I'll be good. Yeah. Almost 14 years later, I
Wow.
was still in there.
And what parts of the military were you in again? You
Yes,
were
I was both Army and Navy. So I
okay.
I was Army for about 5 or 6 years, and then when I became a master corporal in the Army, I recognized that I was going to be stuck there for a while. Not that I was trying to rush anything, but it wasn't about rushing. It was more so about how I can expand. So many people, when they're in their work, whichever work they're in, they know that, oh, this ceiling is right here. How
Mhm.
do I get past this ceiling? What do I need to do? And so I saw that ceiling, which is ironic because in the military, there is really no ceiling because you just keep going and going and going and going. However, as a woman of color, I recognized where I was. I saw my capabilities. I wanted more, and I wanted that leadership experience more so, and I wanted to develop it.
Hmm.
Um, and it was the place that I was, not that it was bad or anything like that. I just recognized that it would have taken me probably my whole life. I may have remained at that rank. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I need to move. And so the Navy, I went there. And it took a very long time for me to get into the Navy. So there you go.
Wow. That could be a whole podcast on that experience alone of what you've seen, what you've gone through. So 14 years. So what made you get out of it? I mean, I guess some people could be in it their whole life, but like, what was it, the turning point for you to be like, okay, I'm done with this. I've learned so many amazing skills in leadership, and now I'm ready to take it to my next step in my life.
It was just time.
Yeah.
We all know when it's time.
Yeah.
Like I wanted time. I wanted to have a family.
Mhm.
I wanted that. And there's not saying that you can't have that, but when you're in a space like the military and you're sailing, you're doing it so much that when you are in a relationship, there's really like two people in a relationship, like your work and your spouse, and you're gone so many months out of the year. When I was in my early 20s, yeah, okay, like I started off as reserve, and then of course I went regular force because I wanted to get my education done first. But I wanted to be able to spend time. I wanted to be home. I wanted to dedicate time to a spouse, dedicate time to uh, children, and build that life. So and I
It
was
was
like,
that. It was
I don't want to go any further. I'm like, I don't want to commission. I don't want to, become an officer. Like I'm done. I did my time. I served.
You did. Absolutely, you did for 14 years. So, do
Yeah.
you think your experience in the military is what was like the fuel for you to become a leadership coach now and to be where you're
Yes.
at now?
100%. I took my training from the military, and guess what? I implemented it in my parental leadership. Um, and then, of course, I took my educational background, having a postgrad as a research analyst and entrepreneurial development, right? Becoming a business strategist. So I had all of these different things. And so a lot of people are thinking, oh, you're in the military, you're not learning all of these things. Well, one, I took additional courses, but I took them so I could start implementing them because I was leading teams. And when you're leading teams, You have to understand budget. I know because you're spending money. You got to buy supplies.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter where you got to buy supplies. You got to lead and have good communication and you got to have strategy. And yes, things are coming down. It's like from top down, obviously, because the nature of the job and all of those things. But then you also have to be innovative and quick thinking.
Mhm.
So all of those things really was like that foundation to help me with that. And then I will say as well, although I had all of those training and I did all those courses, I worked on my faith, I worked on my spirituality, and
Mhm.
I had to do that in order to know who I was. And sometimes not some majority of people take their faith for granted or they dismiss it because we get so caught up in our own selfishness and our own selfish ways, thinking that the I can do it. But when you actually take time to build a relationship and know who you are and get into the faith and read the word, that is that stability that you need, that foundation for every single step of what you're doing. And it helps to just, it has helped me then, and I still apply it in business right now.
I love that. So you were in the military, you come
Yes.
out, you had
Yes.
a corporate job, you
Right.
had a baby
Yeah.
who is so smart. Um, at what point was it that I know you were like doing some like side business and stuff. Like
Yeah.
what was the turning point for you or that like aha moment where you're like, okay, I want to take this leadership skills and apply it toward other entrepreneurs?
Great, great question. Yes, yes, yes. There's always something. You know what happened? My daughter's life was threatened. That's what
Oh,
happened. Yeah, so she was going to school, certain private schools and stuff, and then this boy threatened her life
what?
because he wanted to rule the world, like just 5-year-old kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of want to rule the world. He thinks she could do it. I no idea where he got that from. Anyways, but she wanted to still have the business going, and at that time I was thinking, okay, you know what? Um, I want to work with parents for parental leadership because what I did was take all the things that I learned. And because we were speaking and hosting workshops, my daughter was speaking at some events on bullying. I was speaking on parental leadership. I had parents coming to me asking, how do you raise your daughter this way? How can I raise my child to be confident? All of these things. I was seriously considering, man, this is I was all in for the moms and for parental leadership because it's so needed. But when Faith was threatened, and she said to me, "Mom, um, I don't want to give up the business, but I want to, but I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to do this anymore. Like she wants to do it, but just not be on camera or show her face anymore. She just needed time to heal. That's when I started stepping up even more. So parents knew me and I was kind of like more in the background and I was doing all of these other things. But it wasn't as advertised. And that's when I started advertising it. And that's what it took because she was like, and then we became this serious mother-daughter duo.
I love this story so much. For any listeners out there, you have to follow them on social media. I was watching some of your daughter's videos, and she's just such a little doll. And we need more of that joy in our life. I actually just interviewed a girl. She's 13, so she's my older daughter's age. And like already entrepreneur, going to school, volleyball, wants to be
Mhm.
Olympic volleyball, like the to be able to like have that mindset of what knowing what you want to do, maybe not like super clear, but just like having that drive to want to do it. Like how do we implement that in more kids' life? Because I feel like,
Yeah.
and you might be able to speak on this too, with like social media and like all the
Mhm.
things that all these young children are consuming. It's like how do you get them through all the negative to see the positive in life and to like be inspired and empowered to like live their life?
Oh, I love that. Love it, love it, love it. I will answer this
Yes.
wholeheartedly. Get your pen and paper up. The first thing you have to do is make sure that the environment is set for your children to thrive.
Mm.
Parents forget that the environment matters. And I just don't mean me saying to them, I love you and I care for you. Yes, we do love them. Yes, we do care for them. But making sure that when they step into our home, into that home where you and your husband, or if you're a husband and you're listening, your spouse, whoever, your spouses are together, being intentional and saying, this is a home of peace. This is a home of success. This is a home of love. Whatever, you that energetic, that vibration, what is it that you want? What is it a home of loving kindness?
Mm.
And when you do that, then now every single thing you put in your home matters. What you play on TV, the music that you're listening to, it matters because it's either going to raise the atmosphere in the home or not. And what parents forget too is that those things are subtle,
Mhm.
but they are effective.
Mhm.
The next step is to bless your children. And I'm not making this stuff up. I did this with my daughter before she was even born. You go in your children's room. It doesn't matter if they're in there or if they're not in there, and you speak life over the bed that they're sleeping on. You speak life over the desk that they're working on. You speak life over them. Let your children see you blessing them. Make sure before they walk out of that home, they are blessed. They know that they are safe, that God is their shield, if you believe in God. But bless them because then they know, wow, I have a foundation. I
Mm.
can come to you. And when they see that happening, they will start coming to you. It doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter the age. They will come to you. The next step is when they do come to you in conversation, or if they're watching something on TV, do not be quick to judge. Do not be quick to jump and say, this is bad or don't do this. Be disciplined, yes. Discipline in love. Explain to them or ask them the questions, especially if they're older, like 13, 12, 10 years old. Why are we watching this? Oh, well, it's just a show. Okay. But this is showing violence against children, violence against women. This is, and is this who you are? Most of the time, children will say, well, no. Well, if it's not who you are, why are we doing this? And my daughter gets very upset with me. And I know some people are like, well, she's only 7 and like, but this works with teenagers too, because I've worked with parents who have older kids and they have to implement it. Okay.
Mhm.
When we ask them these questions, now what you're doing is making them aware.
Mhm.
And once they are aware, they can discern. They can separate what is good and what is evil. They can have an idea within themselves. Is this for me? Do I align with this? Do I resonate with this? And the minute something comes up when you are not around, guess what's going to happen? They will move it. They may not watch it. They could be in a group with friends who are, oh, I'm bored today. I'm bored. Let's go put some firecrackers in a garbage can, right? Like, and it might seem harmless, but then your child within, they start getting convicted and they become convicted within because they're like, this is not who I am. I can get hurt. They can get hurt. Someone else can get hurt. We can start a fire. Not that you're putting any burden on them, but now they start thinking and they can walk away
Mhm.
and their life becomes they start taking ownership of themselves. They have some independence, but you're strategically guiding them to what is true. You're helping them navigate through you blessing them and speaking to them and disciplining in love, doing all of these things in a way that help their navigation system, their mind becomes so clear that they know who they are. And when they forget who they are, guess what? In a second, oh, this is not me. They'll wake up. They
Mhm.
will wake up. My great example with my daughter. She's doing a 100-day challenge right now, and she's reading. And she started reading like one night. She was like lying down. Oh, I want to lie down and read the book. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, just leave them. They can do it. But this particular part of it is not to be shown on for the challenge on YouTube. This is just the reading part and understanding. And then she has 1 minute to put the stuff together. But she was reading like da, da, like that, right? And I said to her, I'm like, why are you reading like that? Like, can't you read? And then she's like, I could read. But then I remember, like, I like right away, like, don't use these kind of words. Don't try to insult. Don't try to shame. Don't try to guilt. And then I switched it up and I said, you're reading like a victim, but I thought you said you're a victor. And she said, what do you mean? And I go, if you're victorious, you would read confidently. So then it opened up with, well, I'm reading this way because there's some bigger words here, and I don't want to be ashamed. Like she was thinking to herself, like people would judge her
Mhm.
because maybe she had to sound it out, or she may have to break up the words or something. And I go, no one cares. I told her, like,
Mhm.
just be confidently you
Mhm.
because you're showing the reality of reading. We're not teaching people how to read. We're just
Mhm.
showing them you in your challenge. This is what you're doing, but you're reading part of the text so they can see, and then you go from there. And so that opened up the reason why, because I had to switch things around.
Mm.
And yeah, anyways, that's it. I hope that was
Uh,
helpful.
no, it was actually really helpful because I was just having this conversation the other day, and I know a lot of moms would resonate exactly with what you say or how they're struggling with their children's behavior. So I can that little tidbit, love. I guess my question for you is like in my scenario is I try that concept mostly in my home, but my kids also have a second home. So how do you navigate that as a parent when you can't control what's happening in their other home and they don't
Yes.
have the same philosophy in as I would in my home?
I love this question. As I said, I'm a single parent, so
Hmm.
fate sees her dads from time to time. Remember, I talked about blessing your children before they
Hmm.
leave the house?
Hmm.
You have to pray for your children. It is a war out there. And I don't mean that negatively. I'm not speaking ill of anyone or the home and how they're raising them. But we have to pray for our children. And that's part of that whole discernment piece. And when we build that bond with our children, remember, I was talking about the conviction. This
Hmm.
is not of me. When they go in any situations, all of a sudden they'll just, no, no, thank you. They can still be there, but they will choose not to participate. And since, like in your case, your daughter, for example, is 13, your children are a bit older, it becomes easier because then they say, oh, she doesn't want to participate in whatever it is, or you know what, this is what I resonate with. Second thing, pray for the other parent. Many people, we get selfish. Myself, I was there too. We selfishly think this person is wrong or they're not doing something right. But when we pray for the person and we say, may they know how to be the father, may they know how to be the mother for my child, name the child, in this season. May their relationship be strengthened. May they learn how to communicate with me and I with them. This is very simple, easy prayer.
Hmm.
You may not see the result the first day, but if you consistently do this and you open your heart to say, I am willing to work with you as long as there's the best interest of my child
Hmm.
at hand. And then you teach your children the way. And that comes back to your children seeing you blessing them, seeing you having that open communication with them, seeing you disciplining them in love.
Hmm.
Back to, are you a victim or a victor? Or sometimes they're maybe watching something. I just want to understand, why are you playing this game? Or what do you think this is showing? How do you think you would feel if someone did this to you? Bringing that awareness to them, because now your child helps you, helps you, and then also help the other parent to know how to properly raise them. What do they need in this year, this season of their time? And there might be some kickback, oh, I'm going to be my way, but all of a sudden you'll start seeing the other person calm down. All of a sudden you'll start seeing the other person saying, I appreciate the work that you're doing. The other person will start showing up and I want to know how can I be of help and support. And I'm not saying this, and I'm not talking of this because I don't know. I do know my daughter's father for the first year was very upset and angry for whatever reason. He didn't see her very much. The second year, he had he started a whole other family, and that's his choice. That's fine. And I prayed. What did I pray for? My daughter to have a good relationship with him. It took about 4 years. And all of a sudden, even though he was still around, he wasn't being the father he needed to be to her at that time. All of a sudden things started to change around. His attitude started to change. He would say, "Thank you for all you do for faith." That's what it started off as.
Hmm.
And now, like I'm that parent where I'm like, look, I need to know what's going on because ah, with all the nonsense going on out there, listen.
Yeah, yeah.
I, and I tell my daughter the same thing. I think when parents, especially if you're the primary giver and they're in the home, speak to your children at age appropriate levels so that they understand you need to come to me.
Mhm.
If you feel uncomfortable with anything, not just because you don't like being disciplined, but if you feel uncomfortable with anything, I need you to tell me because I am here supporting you. And I had to tell my daughter this. I trained her. I trained her all the way up, even now. Don't try to hold on to it because there are things that you may think is, oh, they're just being nice, but the intention behind it may not be that nice. And so my job as a parent is to be able to not only be vigilant, but to support you. So I hope that helps.
Oh my God, it was so good. Like I think coming off of a conversation around this, I think that it is actually many conversations this week was very, very helpful. And I know a lot of my listeners are moms, so they will resonate with that. So thank you. And I know that I know normally you do more on like the
Yes,
leadership entrepreneur, but I think it all kind of goes
yes.
coincide together. So thank you for that. I want to do though talk about your work that you do with entrepreneurs and leadership and how you raise up leaders and what that looks like. And I want you to like just pour into because I very much believe in leadership. I'm always like, how do I get to the next level? How do I do more? How do I better myself? So I want to hear more about the work you do.
Okay, yeah. Oh my goodness. Now we're well, the stuff before the parental leadership, as I said, this is exciting to me.
Yeah,
It's part of what I do. I think all parents need to be equipped because we need to be equipped.
we need to be equipped.
We
Yeah.
need to be equipped. But when it comes to, for example, there's a lot of moms listening. You're
Mhm.
probably a mompreneur. Perhaps you're working as an executive or wherever you are. Listen, know that you are doing what you were meant to do, and I'm excited for you. But if you have this business and you're here, maybe you're a solopreneur. I'll start up with solopreneur. You have a conversation with me right away. I want to understand what's going on, where your business is at. Who's on your team? Maybe you're thinking, well, it's only me. Okay, well, if it's only you, what can we get off your plate right now? And so I ask these questions. Maybe what can get off the plate, they can't hire somebody, and that's fine. But if you can't hire somebody, then I go even deeper, looking at the business, just outline it as a whole. And then I say, who are you connected with? I even start looking into your networks. Who are you connected with? Who are you connected to? And how is this relationship beneficial? A lot of people will say to me, well, they may think, well, why are you going in that route? Why don't you look at fixing the systems and the strategies and all of these things? Well, we will get there once we start working together. But once I understand where you are at mentally,
Mhm.
once I understand what your belief is, once I understand who is in your network, you hear this about successful entrepreneurs a lot. Show me the five people show me your five friends and you show me your network, right? Or your network, right? Or show me your network, you show me your net worth. All of these things, it is very, very true. So once I get an understanding of, I don't even have to go and Google them or anything. Just say, okay, and how is this relationship beneficial? Are they a coach? Are they a mentor? Are they a sponsor? Are they a friend? How are they investing in your life? Maybe they're just hitting like and resharing. Well, that's where they are. Perfect. That's a great relationship to have. How can we build on that, especially when it comes to the business?
Hmm.
And so that's one of the first place that I look. The other piece that I look is the first month, like I have a 3 month program, and then I also have a 10 month program, and I have the 90 days because sometimes people just need like a project done.
Hmm.
But if there's a project that needs to be done, I'm always looking at who's on the team, and not only who's on the team, do you know exactly what you need to do? So I'm going in depth with you. What do you need to do? What is the finances? It's kind of like doing a business plan, right?
Hmm.
What
Hmm.
are the finances? Who do you need? What is the PR looking like? What is your marketing going to look like? And where is your clients, your customers right now? The reason why I have to ask these 5 questions is because we all get these ideas. Oh, I want to write a book. And we have these courses that are saying you can write a book in 2 weeks and make $100 million in 2 months, in 90 days. I'm not saying those courses are wrong. They're, I'm not saying that the claim is incorrect. What I'm saying is if you don't have a foundation
Hmm.
and you don't have the clientele to make $100,000 from your book in 90 days, you're not going to make $100,000.
Hmm.
So, so
That is not happening.
that's not happening because
Yeah.
you just, if you don't have the base, if you don't have people that want it, right? So that's why I ask all of these questions, and then from there, and then we start developing a plan together, and then from that plan, then I'm looking at their team because they gotta have somebody that's going to help them, and you have to equip the people to be able to lead. Now,
Mhm.
I have a team. Does that mean that everything they put out there I think is all great and I turn my back? Heck to the no. Heck no. You know what I do? There are things, of course, they put out, and but if I see something, or maybe I'm looking at something, and I get to I look, I actually pay attention. I take the 5 minutes and I look at stuff, and I read things. And I would say this doesn't make sense to me. And the reason I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me because this is affecting this other area of my business. And they will say, what do you mean? I go, you are like this right now, and I need you to be like this, right? I can't have tunnel vision. Every post that goes up is not just on for social media for someone to say I like you and to DM. It's affecting my relationships. It's affecting my bottom line. It's affecting the person who I have as my VA who is doing my speaking engagements because guess what? I have people looking on there. So that's really the key foundational piece. I know I went a bit more in depth only in that part, but I went in there and I want the audience to understand because that piece is the most important. If you have no foundation, it doesn't matter how much money you make, you will lose it. It will fall. It will not be sustainable because you have zero foundation.
I love that. I resonate so much to that because I my background is business development as well, and sales and building relationships and building trust, and that is what I coach my clients on is like making that a priority. Like if you don't know who your top clients are as a business, like you're failing, right? That's like one of my biggest things. But when I started my business about a year ago, everyone's like, how did you get your clients? And I'm like, it is because of the foundation that I built. It is the connections that I built. It is the network that I built over the years. And even though, and I tell people this all the time, like, even though you meet someone and they're not going to give you direct business, like it doesn't matter because you never know with down the line when they're going to refer you or you're going to be in the same room as them and you need them to introduce you to somebody who, knows someone who knows someone that knows someone to grow your business, right? So I really resonate with the whole like building your network and like having your people and making sure the people in it are the right people in it.
Yeah, 100%. So thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
love that. I love the work that you're doing. Um, what what's next for you? Like And my other question for you is why do you do this work? Like, what is it about the work that you do? Because I do have to ask this because I have to ask myself this a lot of the times. Like, what makes you do this work
Okay, yeah.
day in? And like, what keeps you motivated every single day to keep going?
Well, I was born to do this. My daughter says this, I was born for this, right? For
Mhm.
me, honestly, I was born to do this. Every single thing that led me up to this moment, um, and even in the future, this is what I was created to do. I didn't know it when I was 15, but when I was 15, teenager, I was on the announcement committee and I was in the counseling groups, like to help other and to encourage the team. I volunteered a lot. I did all of those things. I got my leadership training from the military. I got it outside. I was developing all of these things, and when I started doing this work, it was like, yeah, this is it. So when I had no clients or I wasn't getting paid for what I was doing, and there are some things where I did not get paid for, and I think people people just automatically assume you start a business and then all of a sudden you're getting paid. Sometimes it doesn't work that way.
Mhm.
The beginning stages, you got to give more than you can get.
Yep.
Um, and so I gave and I put in the time and I put in the effort. What I will say is in the beginning, I was doing because I'm like, okay, I need to do this. Like, I need to be in the media for here. I need to do that. I need to do that. And in order to get this, in order to get that. And as I continue to grow and I develop my faith and really deepen my practice um, into my why, it stopped becoming about what if I do this, then I will get that.
Mhm.
Instead, it literally has become this needs to go out because there is somebody out there who needs this. Their light needs to be activated. Their needs to be restarted, right? There's an engine that's stalled somewhere, that a car that needs to be a little bit of push for it to go. Um, uh, and so that is what gets me excited.
Mhm.
That gets me excited to come on podcasts. That gets me excited when I'm in the board meetings. That gets me excited when I'm interviewing people or hosting workshops or just networking.
Mhm.
That in itself gets me excited because I know in my very being that I am making that difference in someone's life every single day.
I love that. Speaking of that work, um, I believe that everyone should be involved in some kind of nonprofit, like whether that is volunteering or whether that's being on a committee or whatnot. You are currently a board member for a nonprofit. I had the experience as well. Talk a little bit about like how you feel like that is an important part of your personal development and also your professional.
Well, I mean, every coach needs a coach. Every mentor needs a mentor, right? If you look at Bill Gates, he had Warren Buffett as a mentor. I don't know if he's still a mentor. You look at, and I'm just using, it doesn't matter what your thoughts are on these people. I'm just using them as examples. He still had a mentor. And then Warren Buffett, I mean, he's in his 90s. So, I mean, at that point, there's no one older than him, right? But
Yeah.
he says he says his mentors, oh, I just read lots of books. But he's very strategic. He says he reads lots of books, but he's very strategic about the type of book that he reads,
Hmm.
right? And what he's ingesting to do that. So being on the board for me was a different way to get back beyond the volunteering because I do wholeheartedly believe in that. My daughter does volunteering too, and I'm really glad that she has a heart for others. Um, and I thought, well, you know what? I could really make a difference by utilizing my gifts, talents, and abilities. When we recognize that we have so much more to give, we stop playing small. And I had to stop playing small and say, you know what, I'm going to take time to go on a board. And when I got on the board, honestly, it wasn't to even be vice chair or anything like that. I just wanted to be a board member. And then the opportunity came and they said, they needed a vice chair. Someone had to step down because she needed to focus on family. And I was like, I can do this because I'm right in the area and I'm so close because so many people lived far away. And then they're like, oh, which committee is? I'm like, oh, I really want to focus on governance because laws and foundations and stuff. I mean, that's the nature of what I do. I just naturally incline to that. But then I realized I am not a salesperson. I know sales, I understand it, I do it, but that's not my area of expertise. For example, like Jerry Minor, that's his area of expertise, right? Sales. Um, and so the the uh, the president of the board, he's an economics professor and he has a business and he knows so many other people. So for him, finance is huge. And then of course we have the head of the finance committee. So I was like, what a great way for me to have a mentor
Mhm.
and to have several mentors at the same time. So not only am I giving back, but I'm also receiving a different, I have like three mentors all at the same time, helping me in different areas um, to support my growth so then I can better serve others. So, if for anyone that's thinking, hey, I want to be on a board or you want to be on the school board for your children or anywhere, do it. You
Mhm.
want to be in your church, in your place of worship, like do it. Get on the board because you're going to also receive so much benefit. You're going to get guidance and training and support because that is going to help take you to the next level. It's not necessarily like when I say the next level is it opens up doors and rooms and spaces that you yourself could not open by yourself. You need destiny helpers, these, or people, allies that can call your names in rooms, these sponsors that can call your name in rooms when you're not there. And let me tell you something, when people are calling your name in a room and you're not there, and I mean positively, this is where you start getting other clients. Your community starts to grow. Your impact and your influence now is touching the right people, and you're not like scrambling all over the place. So that's a long version of why I think you should, but I wanted it to be detailed because I wanted people to understand that when they're doing something, to be intentional about it. And it's not only, well, I'm doing this because I'm so awesome and I'm so great. No, it's not because, well, yeah, you're a great person, nice, that's good, but also see how it is beneficial both ways.
Mhm.
And I learned that from a mentor who's a billionaire. And what I did, true story. And I still go out to any mastermind he has. And if you find a billionaire that hosts these free sessions, go to it. His name is Anthony Lacavera. His name is Anthony Lacavera. And when he started, like he's a billionaire. He is invested like a serial entrepreneur. He had like his own cell phone thing until he sold it for how many billions of dollars and stuff like that, right? Like crazy. When he started um, like his personal social media account, that's how I founded him because Instagram popped him up. And he had a mastermind and it was free. And then he always says, like, oh, for businesses, he's always wanting to invest in businesses. So instead of going on Shark Tank and stuff like that, like he does it more quietly. And because of the nature of my work, like it's tougher. Like I need to have like a Taylor Swift type of crowd or something like that for me to get funding. Like,
Mhm.
and so when you understand the difference between product and service businesses and how investors work, it's good. But I showed up to every mastermind he has. And anytime, and he always asks a question. What questions do you have? People don't ask questions. I always ask questions. If I'm going to be late, I like send emails. His social media people, his VA people, they know me. They know Delisa because I will send the questions. I will send like three questions because out of those quick three questions, he might choose one. I've seen people like 20 people showed up to his mastermind. 20 people showing up. And it's like 20 people who some of them invested with him already, like he invested in their business, or some of them like he knows them through like networking or something like that. So they've already made money. And I'm like, why is it the people that actually need this and he's offering this free are not there? And so a lot of advice that I got about how to run my business, and the type of business that I have and the approach I need to take and how what ROIs and investments and stuff, it came from me showing up to his mastermind.
I love that story. That's actually really good advice.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like
And
this
it's
billionaire who was very successful is literally offering free advice for you.
free advice. And
Yeah.
people don't show. And so anytime I talk to anyone, like, because we have books, so we go to a lot of pop-up. People buy online, but we go to a lot of pop-ups because it's great to like be out there. And then of course it's for faith. It's not for me, like to do that. Um, I see people like with some incredible products and they're struggling. And I'm like, why are you here? I'm like, you should be on like the shopping channel. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, why are you not on the shopping channel? Right. But because I'm going to all these different things and I'm interacting with, different millionaires and billionaires, like I'm not a billionaire, but I'm just saying like I'm still taking their advice and I'm like, I want to be in the same room. They may not know who you are. It's okay.
Hmm.
You know, you're, you're the tap is open. Fill up your cup.
Yeah, totally.
And so, yeah. So, anyways, I would tell them to do that. And then they're like, oh, I didn't know. So, anyways,
A
yeah.
lot of people, I feel like I'll tell people something like, I didn't even think about that. And I'm like, oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
you're welcome for the free advice. And
Yeah.
speaking of filling your cup, because you do so many amazing things, you have an
Yeah.
amazing daughter. What do you do to fill your cup? Like for your own personal self-love? Like, do you have any fun hobbies?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I love being outside. I like being in nature. I also like to rest. Resting is good for me.
yeah.
So I give myself permission to rest. If I have to lay down, I am not ashamed to say I'm tired. And it's fun. Like I love dancing, so I will go and dance. And I don't do it like year round. I'll dance at home and stuff. But I would take time, sometimes like 3 months, and I'll go to a class and just release, let go, and just relax and have fun. Um, I like being with my daughter. I love prayer. I love meditation work. I do that. It's part of what I do. But at the same time, I want people to understand I'm in a, my season in life is very different from where you are in life.
Mhm.
So what would be self-care for me may not necessarily resonate with you. And as I grow, and as my daughter evolves too, um, my self care is going to look different.
Mhm.
So, yeah, and of course, like the spa days and all of those things are good for me. But really, it's just rest, knowing when
Yeah.
to rest, and giving myself permission to do that. Definitely being in prayer and meditating on the word, that's huge.
Mhm.
And I do listen to podcasts, and of course, I mean, you guys will understand. If I'm going to masterminds and I'm talking to mentors, it's, this is, I want to understand, right? I need to grow quickly as well. And, um, and I take time to appreciate every moment, every single moment. Sometimes, with my family or if I'm going out with friends and I catch myself thinking about something else, I'm like, whoa, 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 wait, whoa.
Mhm.
Are you going to regret not being present?
Mhm.
Um, in 2 days, or maybe I say something and my tone might be harsh and I catch myself because sometimes we don't like, maybe we're thinking about something, so we say something and maybe the tone might be a bit off, but I catch myself and then I say like, whoa, 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 and I would apologize and say, oh, it didn't mean to come out that way. What I meant to say it like this. And the reason why I do that is because I want to always be present. I want to enjoy the moment. I never want to look back. And this only happened 7 years ago after I had my daughter. I never want to look back and think to myself, I could have loved you more. I could have done more. I could have been more present. I could have spoken to you gently. I could have blessed you when I had the chance. I could have held your hand. Like, because of that, that's when I'm like always like trying, okay, to be present in that moment.
I love that. Such great advice. And it's such a great reminder for all of us because we're all living like going 50 miles an hour and sometimes it's just being present. I find myself not taking a lot of photos anymore because like I am present. Like I don't want to constantly like but then it's like then I'm like, oh, I didn't capture that moment, but then I'm like, but I was in the moment. So it's like that balance. I love your story. I'm so glad you reached out and that we connected. We were already connecting on other things that were offline. But is there anything that we didn't talk about that you think that the listeners need to hear?
I think we covered almost everything, but one parting word of wisdom that I would share with every single mom that's out there. Remember, you are doing your best. Remember at the same time, if you're single or you're with your spouse at home, that you're not alone. So your role is important. All you mothers out there, don't take that back seat and think that you don't have that authority and that power and that strength. You do, because you help to dictate the course. There's a saying in chess, the king rules the kingdom, but the queen rules the board. And take that in life, right? Your home, the king is ruling the kingdom, whoever the king is in the home. I don't know who the king is in the home is, but it is you who are directing the cadence. You are setting the pace. You're the one that's ensuring that destinies and your children, in your husband, that it is being revealed. You don't realize the magnitude of your power and your strength and your wisdom, the wisdom that is within you. And so this is why when I say, I go in prayer and that's part of it, and I'm resting, this is where you need to be too. You need to go in prayer and you need to recognize, hey, what do I need to do in this season? How do I need to be the wife in this season? How do I need to be the mother for, if you have multiple children, you will say for this particular child, this particular child, that particular child, because for everyone it is different. And how can I be the person I need to be for me right now in this season? Because it's so important when it comes to your team, because I also understand now you may have your own businesses. Perhaps you're going to work, you have team. Pray over your business, pray over the work of your hands, and pray over your team so that they are in alignment with you and that you can communicate. Don't worry if they are the best or the worst at their job. Pray for unity in your team as well as proper communication, and start with yourself. I mentioned about being present, and I mentioned sometimes I'm thinking about so many things. Maybe my tone might be a bit off, but then I remember myself and I was like, oh, forgive me. I didn't realize I spoke this harshly. And then, of course, I get to move on. So now I forget it, they forget it, everybody's happy. But then that opens up the way for communication. So see that with your team. Communicate, 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 and bless the work of your hands, bless the work of their hands, and you will see success and thriving in every single area of your life.
Microphone drop right there. Thank you so much. I'm so glad again that we connected. Thank you for pouring everything that you've learned and experienced into the listeners. I cannot wait to see what's next for you. Sometime when I'm in Canada, I would love to get together with you, or if you're ever in California, we can go wine tasting. But thank you so much. And we'll obviously share like how everybody can find you and follow you, and definitely want to follow your daughter because she is the cutest little thing ever.
Thank
So
you,
thank
thank you,
you.
thank you.